been going for over an hour. Help me.
He might as well jump on in here. Come on.
Well, I would say I do agree with Brianna in the case that,
Of course you
these
do.
individuals take on different meanings for different roles within these protests. Like, I mean, I saw a clip, Kiki Palmer was leading
Right.
a protest. You know, she was out there herself, and you know, she was asking the police to join with them as they continue to march. I mean, you saw LeBron James got his teammates together and they got on bicycles and they went through Los Angeles. You know, chanting different chants. They take on different meanings and roles within this type of thing. You know, Michael Jordan is not out there walking the streets protesting with the people, but he does have a wallet where he can pay. I mean, Common is going to be out there in the streets and protesting, even though he may have some financial support in other endeavors, but more publicly, what's been made known is the fact that they're out there in the street. So some people take on a silent role and will partner with somebody because they have the money and the resources, they can do that. Some people use their fame and their name to put that on the line, to be able to go forward and do that, to be able to hold every entertainer or athlete to the same standard is not fair, because, you know, Ralph David Abernathy took a different role than Dr. King did, but they both worked toward the movement. You gotta understand, some people are behind the scenes to make sure things can happen, and some people are in the spotlight so that people can galvanize behind the name and march with it. Everybody take on a different role. So I agree with you, Elle, that everybody got to do something, and you got to use your fame or your resources from your fame to be able to be a part of this movement.
And that's basically all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So for me not to hear anything, even if you're behind the scenes, for me not to hear from you, somebody like, you know, Denzel Washington, you know, and he very well could be behind the scenes, but or doing something, but I, like I said, everybody knows what somebody is doing at some point in time. So why have we not heard anything? You know, like you said, LeBron James on that other. Okay, great. I'm just saying, when you're blessed with so much, I think that there's more required of you. That's a given. When you are blessed with so much, there's more required of you. You have to do that. You just can't sit back and say, let somebody else do it. I already told Brianna, when we have next protest, guess what? My knee hurt, my ankle hurt, but I'm gonna be out there, and I just want to be out there because I want to know that I'm taking part in doing something. So yes, I don't have $1 million, but I am gonna do what I can. So if you're blessed and you have, like you said, that notoriety, whatever, then we should hear from you. We should. There's no excuse not to hear from you.
I just see you don't know. It's your opinion.
I'm saying, but I don't hear. I don't see. I keep reading, listening. I don't see it.
But
I don't see it.
This has been going on for, what is it, week 2?
This is the second week.
People are going to constantly be coming out speaking and saying something, so you just can't get mad because in 2 weeks you haven't heard from certain people. That's not fair to say that.
Well, I think it's fair. We can agree to disagree, but I think I am fair.
That's not fair. Are you coming out with that? That's not fair to say, like, oh, I haven't heard from you in 2 weeks. You ain't doing nothing. What?
I think it's fair.
No. That is ridiculous.
And here's my because I say that because the question has been asked: does this movement feel different than all the other times? You answer that question, Dr. Fight. I say for me, yes. You answer.
Ask that question one more time.
Does this movement, this event, or this thing that is happening that has occurred, does it feel different than all the other times? You know, we talked about Trayvon Martin. You know, the other girl. You know, Brianna. So why is this that we're in right now? Why does this feel different, or does it feel different to you?
Well, of course it's different. It's different for many different circumstances. One, you have a very divisive president that's in office. And so when we talk about systemic racism, it's from the top down. So as we continue to see a man who's in the White House who is very bolded with his racism and his actions. I mean, he said out of his own mouth at a police rally that they are too nice to the criminals. And, you know, they need to be rougher than with the criminals. And when you're militarizing the police, then now you have a heightened sense from the community because that is coming from the top down.
Right.
Also, this is what some have considered the perfect storm. When you think about a pandemic and people's unrest about how healthcare has been dismantled, even when our previous president tried to make medicine accessible to all, and now you're privatizing medicine again. You got anger and angst amongst poor people, and then now when you have killing in the midst of a pandemic, it is the recipe for a perfect storm. So all across the world, people have an unrest, and now it's being shown where you're seeing people in other countries and all 50 states of the United States are coming together to say, you know what, we like Fannie Lou Hamer. We sick and tired of being sick and tired. Right. So this gets us behind this cause, because the storm is different. The circumstances behind the storm is different, and that's why it has reached its heights that it's reached to, and you know, it makes a person like myself very exhausted because there's a lot going on. And a lot to take part in. I mean, protests from my own city, from the city in which I pastor, and from interviews and radio shows and conferences and stuff like that. That everybody wants to talk about this, and it's not a problem to talk about. But now it's time for us to have some serious demands and some serious solutions with the numbers that we have. I saw a video clip of a young lady who encapsulated things very well. You know, people ought to be happy that all black folk want is equality and not want revenge.
Hey, yeah, okay. Beautiful. Yes. She said that.
We're marching for equality, and you ought to be happy. That's all we're marching for.
Yeah, because Because if we want revenge, then oh my God, I don't even know what that would even look like. I don't even know what that even looked like.
Lord have mercy.
Oh, yeah, Lord have mercy is right. Wow. Okay. And so what would you say to a white person that says, I don't understand, but you all do have equality. You are equal. What would you say to somebody that would even say that to you at this stage of the game?
Well, obviously you got to take in consideration the source in which they're making that statement.
Absolutely.
Because equality is truly not equal in this world we live in. If we were equal, why does President Obama have to sign Susie Ledbetter Act, where women that work equal work can get equal pay? Right. If we were equal, that shouldn't even be an act. That shouldn't be a question. Right. If we were equal, why do we have to sign an affirmative action where you are at least trying to entertain having some level of diversity within the workplace? Absolutely. If we were equal, why in sports or even in the NFL they have to have the Rooney Rule, where when teams will interview for executive positions and for coaching positions, they would at least interview a minority of some kind. You know, if we were equal, we wouldn't have these type of rules in place what will force you to make you at least look another direction than what you normally look. There's a certain privilege in this world that forces people to think white is right and black is wrong. And the problem is when we train our children as well as perpetuate these ideas, the problem comes in that we're sitting on the sidelines fighting just to get in the game, when we get in the game, you realize, hey, you should have been in the game a long time ago. What would this world look like if it wasn't for Madam C.J. Walker? What would this world look like if Oprah Winfrey would have never graced the television? What would this world look like if Barack Obama would have never been in the White House? See, this world needs color.
Yes,
as long as you think I'm putting us on the sideline, you won't have the world that you need. I mean, can you imagine television without Harry Belafonte? Can you imagine some of the things that we have in this world? Can you imagine movies without Denzel Washington or a Halle Berry? I mean, come on now. Television, as well as theater, as well as the arts, as well as we're not even going to deal with sports. that's a no debate right there. You lose in every arena because we find it that, you know, diversity is the best way to approach everything. I'm not saying everything got to be all black. Now, I am pro-black, don't get me wrong.
Me too.
I believe in equality. I believe in unity. And So we gotta have some diversity. We gotta have some unity in this world. It's just a better place. You got all millionaires sitting at the table. They don't know what it's like to be poor, and so they're gonna obviously.
Brian, I lost it. I lost the speed. I can't hear.
He froze.
No, he ain't froze. Dr. Fight, I lost your voice. Did you hear something? There you go.
Okay, he froze on the TV.
You froze? You there? Can you hear? Oh, okay, we just couldn't hear you. Oh, you froze for a second. Okay, we couldn't hear you.
Yeah, he froze on the TV.
Oh, okay. Gonna turn it back? No, it was us. It was us. It was our fault. It was our fault. So when you say diversity, and you talk to a white person, what is that reaction you get from them, or have you gotten a reaction? Uh-huh.
Oh, I've had a lot of conversations. So, you know, there's this thought and idea. It's called legalized racism
Okay.
or legalized segregation.
Yeah.
So we all know that the school system is funded by the property taxes of the community. So what ends up happening is now our cities are building schools in every community. When you just go to a school. So this is where the idea of white flight comes from. We'll go somewhere that you're not, have our own schools in that area, and our property tax will fund our own.
Right.
So now we can have a public-private. When we start talking about diversity, we're talking about unity. Our infrastructure is not built. Because as soon as black folk are to where you move to, you
Right.
But we as the African American community, and the other is chasing what you're trying to keep away from. So with that model and that mold, it's difficult to dismantle racism and include diversity because you're always running from it. But we're trying to chase you and keep making the lines different.
Ooh.
And that's what I'm trying to keep people to understand. You don't want diversity because as soon as we come to where you are, you move the achievement gap in the line.
I think
As
that's
soon
perfect.
as
That's
you
good
say it
analysis.
takes a bachelor's degree to get this job. When we go to college and we build colleges and we're educating our people, now you move the line and say, if you ain't got a
That's
master's, you
just
don't work.
right.
Now we got to go back to school.
Yeah.
And then by the time we get there, say, you gotta have a doctorate. So then when you have a doctorate, now change the rule and say you're too educated.
Yeah.
So either way, we can't be diverse, we can't be united because you're always changing the rule every time we get to where we're supposed to go.
I think that was a great analogy right there, and I had never really thought about it in those terms. But you're right. Every time we make a step toward that, right then you move the ball a little further, you move the line a little further, and say, okay, yeah, you got. So I haven't never really thought about it in those terms. But you are right. So how do we ever get anywhere? So I can understand. So then at that point we become frustrated, and then we begin to act out because you say you don't want me to have anything anyway. So do you think it's having more conversations is going to help that or no?
We got to ask ourselves what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I think the solution, first of all, the problem that we have is that we got police killing black citizens.
Well, at this point, they're abusing everybody. They're abusing 75-year-old white man. They pull out teenagers out the cars. I'm just saying, are they angry? I mean, they are angry, but what are they so angry about? Because they've been put on blast or what? I mean,
I talked to a group of police officers yesterday. And I sympathize with them. I sympathize with the police officers because I feel as though we're asking the police to do too much.
And I had that conversation
this
earlier.
country-
Yeah. Yeah.
This country has done a poor job with addressing our mental health problem.
Yes.